Today, we're gonna go on an adventure. All you have to do is get to my house and we'll go together. If you just go like down the road and then take a left, well, actually, I don't know where you live. Maybe for you it's a right, but then you just keep on going until the road comes to a T and then take a left. It's a couple of houses down. And then adventure time! Come on! Oh wait, no! Oh no. Oh no. I guess we should have used a map. You know, today we would typically find directions to get somewhere with a smartphone app or a computer, but humans actually have record of using maps for over thousands of years. And it makes sense when you start to think about it, especially when I sent you on that wild goose hunt to my house. Still so sorry about that. But it makes sense when you think about where is the food located? Where's the water source? Where's the next village? Humans have been using maps for a very long time. Let's take a deeper look.
Thousands of years ago, our ancestors invented the map. Ancient maps were crude but very useful tools. They helped people find food, clean water, and the way back home, even when home was a deep, dark cave. The very first maps were just scratches in dirt or sand. As civilizations grew, better maps were needed. The oldest existing maps are from the ancient desert kingdom of Babylonia. These maps were etched on tablets of damp clay that soon baked rock hard in the midday sun. Early Chinese map makers painted beautiful maps of their empire on pure silk cloth. People in every part of the world cleverly used local materials to make the maps they wanted and needed. Charts are maps used to sail the wide oceans. The Polynesian islanders sailed the vast Pacific Ocean using stick chart maps. These charts were woven with reeds and palm leaves that showed the ocean's currents and wave directions. Seashells were attached to each chart to indicate the larger islands. But ancient world maps were incredibly incomplete. Until a few centuries ago, the Earth was neither fully explored nor accurately mapped. As a result, these maps presented a world that looked like this, an incomplete and very incorrect world. At this time, most people still believed that the Earth was as flat as a pancake. If it was really flat, then ships and sailors might tumble over the edge if they sailed too far from dry land. The age of exploration begins. Columbus sails. About 500 years ago, some big changes were in the wind. Brave sailors and map makers were beginning to sail farther and farther from the safe shores of Europe. The true look of the Earth was about to be discovered. Realistic, dependable maps would soon follow. When Christopher Columbus sailed west in 1492, he was actually looking for the Spice Islands of India. He wanted to discover a safe, short ocean route from Spain to India and back again. What he really found proved to be two unmapped continents, North and South America. I want to pause here and be very clear that Columbus was not the first, nor was he the only sailor. And he did help with the mapping back in the European countries of North and South America. However, there were many people living there, so he certainly didn't discover America. And I just want to be clear about that. Magellan sails and proves that the Earth is round. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan sailed from Spain with a fleet of 5 ships. Magellan wanted to be the first explorer to sail all the way around the world. If the voyage was successful, it would prove to one and all that the earth was round. The fleet sailed down through the icy waters at the tip of South America, across the Pacific and Indian Oceans, around Africa's Cape of Good Hope, and back to Spain. After 3 long years at sea, one battered, surviving ship had completely encircled the earth. An explosion of discovery and exploration was soon underway now that all were convinced that the earth was round. Like an orange, like a cannonball, like a globe. So we know the earth is a sphere, correct? But if you think back before smartphones, and you were going to travel from your home to the river and back to your house, it's not really likely that you're going to have a little sphere to put in your pocket, right? And it would be so tiny for the small little location that you're going to travel anyway. So people created maps. Maps put our round earth on flat paper. Maps are precisely drawn pictures of the earth. Pictures of the entire earth, or any part of it. There are maps of the world, maps of the country where you live, and maps of your hometown. Maps put all the wet oceans and all the lumpy, bumpy land on sheets of nice, flat, dry paper. Globes are the most realistic world maps. Since globes duplicate the true round shape of the earth, all distances, directions, sizes, and shapes are true to scale on globes. But maps must artificially flatten the real round world. So map makers cut, stretch, and distort some parts of the earth to get it all flat on paper. The worst map distortion is at the top and bottom of the world in the Arctic and Antarctic. Greenland, for instance, looks bigger than all of South America on a flat map. But it isn't. A globe instantly shows that South America is really much bigger. In fact, it's 8 times bigger. Maps have a language you can learn. Maps and globes can take you places and show you things when you know how to read them. Map language is partly names and numbers. It's also bright colors, great circles, imaginary lines, and tiny symbolic cartoons. Map language begins with the 4 basic directions. Direction means which way. North is a direction toward the North Pole from any other place on Earth. South is just the opposite. It's always toward the South Pole. East is the direction where the sun appears every morning, and west is toward the sunset. This piece right here will be really helpful for you when you're making your own map later. Okay, so if you aren't sure which direction is north, which direction is south, and east and west, start with trying to figure out where does the sun appear each morning, because that would be east. And more towards dinner time, when the sun is setting, it's in the west. On a map, you'll also always see north on top of the compass rose, south on bottom, east on the right side, and west on the left side. Let's look at the compass rose in action. If you were playing at the playground and your friend was playing at the basketball courts and they wanted to guide you to them, they could use directions. Right? They could say, go west until you see the school, and then go north until you find the basketball courts. Or maybe they say, go north until you see the firehouse, and then west until you see the basketball courts. These directions probably would have been much more useful than the ones I provided earlier. Staying oriented to directions is so important, even with smartphones. Sometimes when you look at a map, you might see symbols, like mountains, and that big blue squiggly line. And then I see a thick orange line between Mexico and the United States, and between Canada and the United States. And then if you look close, little tiny, thin orange lines. When you see these symbols, you might know what they mean or can make a guess, but then there could be other times where you're not sure exactly what they're supposed to represent. Luckily, cartographers or map makers have created a tool on the map that will tell us what the symbols represent. It's called the map key. A map key is just like a door key because it unlocks everything on the map so you can read it. If a map didn't use symbols to represent things, it would have to be very, very large. Let's look at this one. This one might be a little harder to figure out. Without the key. Here's a road map showing the different types of roads. So there's the interstate highways. The red ones are just major highways. And then we even have Interstate 90. Which you might notice goes all the way. The key could also tell us how to read a physical map. So in this case, showing us elevation. This one shows us climate. Think about how difficult it might be to read this map and understand what's representing without a key. Oh, if you didn't see it, I bet you can't guess what this map represents. Oil production. Now it's your turn to be the cartographer. You're going to make 2 maps. The directions are also in the drive under the mapping unit, but I'll go over them pretty quickly. The first one is you're going to make a map of your room. It needs to include cardinal directions and symbols with a key to explain what the symbols mean. Second map is going to be your house. So draw the whole layout of your house, include the cardinal directions, make a key with the symbols, but also label the rooms. Have fun! This is one of my favorite projects to do when I was your age, so I'm very excited to share it with you. Enjoy!